History never forgets the great people. Quaid-e-Azam, Allama Iqbal, Liaquat Ali Khan, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Sohrawardi, Khan Qayyum Khan are the unforgettable twinkling stars, great personalities of our country's history. Late Mehraj Khalid was also a very kind-hearted, nice and a spotless personality in our country's politics in the recent past. In our neighborhood, Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Narasimha Rao are also great names. I recall on one of my recent visits to US, when I landed at the US airport, I hired a taxi to go to my hotel from the airport. The taxi driver was an Indian gentleman, an aged guy around 60 years. In our discussion, I mentioned to him that in early 90s, one Pakistani rupee was equal to almost 2 Indian rupees. He got a bit flared up, but he told me something very informative. What he said was that in early 90s, India was under economic crisis, but it was the vision of the Prime Minister of that time, late Narasimha Rao, that he engaged the President of World Bank at that time, Mr. Manmohan Singh, to join India's economic ministry. So Mr. Manmohan Singh, on the request of Narasimha Rao, resigned from World Bank as president and joined Indian government in the economic ministry. It was then his vision which got India out of that economic crisis, and his economic policy continued for almost a decade. Then you know that before this Indian government, the last two governments were of Mr. Manmohan Singh. So it was almost 2 decades of Mr. Manmohan Singh, the economic man, his vision and his policy which got India out of that economic crisis. And you can very well compare where we stand in terms of India's economic stature today. Then America's Abraham Lincoln and Britain's Sir Winston Churchill were also 2 giants of personalities in world's history. If we study our Muslim history, we would come to know that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, ranked the top spot. One of the Jewish famous writers, Michael Hart, in his book Top 100 Personalities of the World History, he ranked the Holy Prophet on the top spot. My submission to my countrymen is that when we boast about the highest of ethics and morals of our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, which he adopted throughout his life, then why is it so that when it comes to application, the situation is not that impressive? The Jewish writer Michael Hart writes in his book, The Top 100 Personalities of World's History. My choice of Muhammad to lead the list of the world's most influential persons may surprise some readers and may be questioned by others, but he was the only man in history who was supremely successful on both the religious and secular levels. Of humble origin and background, Muhammad founded and promulgated one of the world's great religions and became an immensely effective political personality. Today, 13 centuries after his death, his influence is still powerful and inarguable. It is the unparalleled combination of secular and religious influence which I feel entitles Muhammad to be considered the most influential single figure in human history. Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq and Hazrat Umar. who is known as Umar Sani, were also remarkable personalities of their times. I would like to share a couple of incidents of their lives. When Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq was the leader for Muslims after the demise of Holy Prophet, he sanctioned for his own salary equivalent to a normal layman's salary. Few days later, he was served a sweet dish by his wife. On that, he questioned his wife, "How could we have this sweet dish today in our dinner?" She replied, "I had been saving little money on a daily basis. Resultantly, I could serve you this sweet dish today." He immediately said, "None of the laymen, the ordinary man, would have this sweet dish in his dinner in our society." Therefore, he from that day cut down his salary even further so that they could not have that sweet dish. That was his feeling, such a great personality for his nation, for his public. Hazrat Umar bin Abdul Aziz was a very, very wealthy person. He was very famous for the perfume he used. Due to his extraordinary skills, people wanted to see him as their ruler, but he flatly refused because of his fancy lifestyle. Later, when the public insisted, he agreed to it. But as soon as he joined the prime office, he distributed all his wealth among the needy and became an ordinary person. If we observe the current regime in UK, Europe, West America, Japan, would come to know that they are all extremely passionate, devoted, kind-hearted, and visionary people. They live their lives simply and donate all their time, health, lives for their public and their nation. On the contrary, we are unable to find such match in our Muslim world. This has not happened overnight. It has taken decades. In the end, I would like to kindly suggest what we can do within our capacity. We must prioritize to get the best possible education added with ethics and morals. And we must not do this for our own selves. We should look around and also help others for best possible education added with ethics and morals. If God has blessed us with extra resources, it means we have an extra responsibility to justify those extra resources. Ethics and morals are equally important as education. Literacy rate in our country, which government claims 30%, in my opinion, is not more than 10 or 15%. But if we prioritize education added with ethics and morals, I believe in next 15, 30, even maybe 50 years, our literacy rate would reach around 70%, as it is in Israel or US or in the West. And once we achieve that, I'm pretty sure that people in our country, in our society, would also have such great attributes as we discussed earlier, like Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, Hazrat Umar, Abu Bakr Siddiq, the great Qaid, Liaquat Ali Khan, Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan.